pleased to welcome you to the finals of the Spring 2022 Concept 5K Pitch Competition.
For example, the Department of Transportation in the state
and this terrible environment.
every once in a while, we have been approached by
Other labor-intensive industries, such as manufacturing.
Information changes every day. Their strategic capability.
That is a great question.
Experience entrepreneurship and turn ideas into reality as you go beyond the classroom with Velocity. Be inspired by founders who are blazing a trail and industry leaders who know what it takes at weekly sessions and events. Network with a like-minded community and access valuable resources and spaces to work on your problems and build your solutions. Do it the Waterloo way and get the answers you need to go further by validating with real-world results. Fuel your imagination.
Hello, and welcome to the finals of the Velocity 5K Pitch Competition. My name is John Dick. I am the campus director of Velocity, and I will be your MC this afternoon. We have 8 fantastic student teams ready to pitch for one of 4 $5,000 grants, which we will be handing out today. And I gotta remember to switch slides. Here we go. This is a culmination of a term-long process. We received 72 applications covering a wide range of topics. From these, 22 semifinalists were selected who pitched 2 weeks ago at South Campus Hall. And from those semifinalists, 8 teams were selected to pitch to you today. Each team will have 3 minutes to pitch, followed by 3 minutes of Q&A from our panel of expert judges, who I will introduce you to now. Neha Kara is a general partner at 2048 Ventures and has been an early stage investor for nearly a decade. Neha obtained an electrical engineering degree from the University of Waterloo and an MBA from the Richard Ivey School of Business. She has been immersed in the technology industry throughout her career, starting off as a software developer and worked in circuitry design and telecommunications before making her way to leading tech innovation at one of Canada's top banks. Neha is a strong supporter of women in technology, having launched Girls in Tech Toronto and a TEDx Women Conference for several years. Welcome, Neha. Sydney Robinson is the co-founder of Vessel, designers of a unique prosthetic socket for below-the-knee amputees. Sydney has a Bachelor of Applied Science in Mechanical Engineering from Queen's University and a master's degree in biomedical engineering from Western. She founded Vessel just 6 months ago after completing the Medical Innovation Fellowship Program. Welcome, Sydney. And Philbert Chan is a senior associate at the Student Venture Fund and has worked previously in audit and investment banking. He is a 4th-year student in the Accounting and Financial Management program here at the University of Waterloo. Welcome, Philbert. And thank you all 3 for joining us today. We are just about to get started with the pitches, and the lineup is presented here. After the 8 pitches have concluded, the judges will head out to deliberate while we bring Ryan Marchuka, co-founder of Haleon, to the stage for a fireside chat. He will speak about his experience as a student founder here at UW and growing Haleon after graduation. Once the judges' deliberations have concluded, we will announce the winners and present them their grants right here on stage. Okay, now who's ready to hear some pitches? You gotta do a little bit better than that. Who's ready to hear some pitches? All right, let's kick things off with Skipwash, a fast, reliable, mobile laundry service designed for busy individuals. Please welcome Scan Mattel, an accounting and financial management student from the Faculty of Arts.
Woo. Thank you. Hey everyone, meet Abhi. Abhi is a full-time working professional. He loves working out and he has an active social life. With this busy schedule, Abhi does not have 3 hours every single week sitting in a laundromat waiting for its clothes to be washed. Now imagine if there was a way by which Abhi can get washed and folded laundry delivered right to his doorstep. Introducing Skipwash. Skipwash is everyone's dream. It's a fast, reliable, and convenient mobile laundry delivery service designed for busy individuals like Abhi. Skipwash is simple. All you have to do is go to our website, place an order online, select a pickup and a delivery day, and we will deliver folded clothes right to your doorstep. Now you might be thinking, but Skan, why would I use Skipwash? Why not just do laundry at home? Maybe I'll use one of those local laundromats. But let's be honest, who really likes doing laundry? It is boring. And why would I sit in a dingy laundromat for 3 hours waiting for my clothes to be washed? Skipwash is better. We provide you with a convenient service due to our quick turnaround times. Not to mention that we give you folded clothes. Yes, folded clothes, so you never have to fold your laundry again. Also, we provide you with quality service due to our high quality and sustainable products. Skipwash is getting noticed. In just last 30 days, we have had 35 orders placed on our website. Not to mention that we reached 34,000 Instagram accounts organically. We're also in the process of signing MOUs with 2 local laundromats, which will provide us with exclusive pricing, and they will provide us with washing and folding staff. Right now, we're in phase 1, working with the KW student population in our proof of concept. But let's look at the total North American market. With a working population of 160 million individuals, doing an average of 40 loads per year, multiply that number by 20, and you get a market size of $128 billion. Yes, $1 billion and recurring revenue. As we mentioned, we're in proof of concept, and the traction for Skipwash has been amazing right now. But we intend to go to working professional and expand towards downtown areas like Toronto, where people have higher disposable incomes. We also want to offer Skipwash B2B so that it could be a perk for corporate employees. With 5K, we need to develop an app for a more streamlined order process. We also need to introduce a subscription-based model because our users have been asking for a monthly plan. Meet the amazing Skipwash team. My name is Skan Mittal, and this is my partner Abhishek Sharma. We are 2 passionate AFM students working towards a common goal, and that is changing the way people do laundry. Thank you. 2 seconds to spare. Love it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That was an excellent pitch.
Thank you.
I do have a couple questions.
Yes.
So you mentioned that you have sustainable products. Could you talk a little bit about what you mean by sustainability?
Yes. So we're basically, so if you see the green and white color, it's not just because I love green. We're all green and white. So we deliver your laundry in paper bags. Yes. So that's why you have a little green there, thing there. We collect it in garbage bags for now, but we will roll out laundry bags with the subscription model, and we deliver it in paper bags. So it's easier, and we're reducing our footprint. And we're also using vegan detergent from Life Clean so that it's easier for the clothes and it's good for the environment.
Fantastic. Thank you. My next question is, you mentioned that people are already subscribing to your service. So how much are they paying right now? And then what payment method do you propose when you do a subscription model?
Okay, so right now we don't have a subscription model. We're saying that people have been asking for a subscription model because when you go for deliveries, they ask us if they can put Skipwash in a monthly plan. So the subscription is going to look at $60 a month, $20 per load. That's what the $20 number is coming from. We did actually a survey of 1,000 students on campus. So if you see that picture, we're in the orientation week. We're just standing out. I was giving out, me and my partner were just giving out business cards. We were like, would you pay $20 for laundry service? Would you pay $20 for laundry service? And we're getting excellent responses. So that's us doing this survey. So we have built our pricing up like bottoms down approach. So that's where the $20 number is coming from, and $60 per month, pretty much.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'll give the other judges some time.
Thank you. Love the energy in your pitch. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Not my best attempt, but it's okay.
Going to piggyback on the question around pricing, what is your margin on $20 per load?
So as I said, we are in the process of signing MOUs with laundromats. So they're giving us $6.99 for washing, folding, plus the wholesale pricing. So we're looking at $7 that, and then the contractor is going to look at around $8. So that's going to come to $15. You're charging $20, so you're looking at $5 right now. But with the economies of scale, it's going to come down.
Okay, the contractor is going to be doing the delivery and the pickup.
Yeah, so we wanna. So when I say Skipwash, we say think of Uber Eats for food, but Skipwash for laundry. So I wanna make a company where people are gonna say Uber Eats is not the delivery service for food. They're gonna say Uber Eats is Skipwash for food. So I'm gonna make that company in future. Yes, they're gonna substitute them.
Perfect. What do you think your biggest challenge is going to be?
So biggest challenge so far has been, so when people think of laundry, they think of, it's boring. It's the same, there's no innovation in the industry right now. So when you go to the laundromats, you have to explain them like, hey, this is the process right now, but they're more than happy to take new businesses just because we're working in most boring industry right now, right? So we're trying to make an innovation and not everyone is open to change. So there's a learning curve, but the learning curve is easier when you explain why we're bringing in business to the companies.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Hey,
Thank you.
Thanks, Skipwash.
Yes. Thank you for the audience. You're amazing.
Our second pitch today is Outseek. This team is developing a financial research and analysis terminal, giving investors access to innovative tools and an abundance of data at an industry low price. Please welcome Nathan Dopko, an economics student from the Faculty of Arts.
When I was 14, I started to get really interested in finance and investing. Upon starting to do my own research on stocks, I noticed that sites that provide this research and analysis are frankly pretty ugly and give us super generic data in a bland way. Not to mention, they're quite expensive, with the average subscription in this industry costing investors well over $500 a year, just to view basic financial data past 2 years and use basic financial tools. As a young person interested in finance, I want a fast-paced, good-looking user interface with lots of visualizations where I can see the data that I need in the way that I want. To put it in short, Outseek is the solution to those problems. Outseek is a financial research and analysis terminal. We have created 50+ financial components that contain insightful financial data, tools, analytics, and information. For example, a company quote or revenue segments by product. Users can then place these components into a unique dashboarding environment we created that allows them to drag, drop, and resize components to their liking, giving investors an experience they're in control of. When it comes to investment research, comparison is key, and Outseek makes it effortless. We understand that most people learn through visualizations and doing, and that's why our entire environment is completely customizable. We provide investors with all the financial data they could ever need in a fast, beautiful user interface. In fact, our site is so good, in just under a month, we've obtained 230 organic users with a retention rate of 61%. Yes, 61%. Our business model is simple, yet an industry first. We provide 30+ years of financial data and access to all the tools on our site for completely free. We then charge for extensive use on these features. This way, no matter if a user pays or not, they still have access to all the financial data and tools they could ever need. Our revenue will come from an $8.99 recurring subscription, which is very low compared to our competitors, paired with Google Ads on our site for the free users. To start, we will target retail investors. There's approximately 50 million active retail investors globally, which account for $4.3 billion of daily stock market volume for the New York Stock Exchange alone. And just how big is this financial research and analysis industry? Well, top sites receive over 1 billion combined monthly page views. Paul and I co-founded Outseek earlier this year. Paul and Josh are both software engineers, and I have my Canadian Security Score certification. Back in October, we released a beta site that included over 230 users, which we received very positive feedback from. Throughout November, we will continue to add tools and analytics to our site, and then implement the paid subscription I talked about previously, early December 2022. Finally, we will release the full version of our site at the end of this year, Outseek, providing investors with the freedom to view the financial data they need in the way that they want. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. That was awesome. So, question for you. Obviously, this space is dominated by Bloomberg when we think about institutional investors. Why do you think retail investors have not gravitated towards tools, or why do you think tooling hasn't come up for retail investors yet on a mass scale like Bloomberg?
So there are a few, but compared to what Bloomberg offers, it's not much. But in terms of us, we provide like a beautiful user interface with lots of visualizations, which if you've seen the Bloomberg terminal, it's pretty ugly. So I think that, you know, a lot of sites just don't have the tools and resources to build what we have.
Got it. Thank you. And last question for me. How do you think about attracting these retail investors?
Yeah, so we currently have around 6,000 combined social media followers, as well as a 300 member Discord. But our main source will just be through advertising on social media, and then we plan to run an affiliate marketing program so we can let our customers do the marketing for us.
Hey, great pitch. I was curious about the retail investors as well. Why do you think retail investors would be willing to switch, let's say, from a CapIQ or FactSet that can do, I think, what you're offering as well? And you know, they're already using this and they've been using it for like the past 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, we are really focused on providing a lot of innovative financial visualizations, which we have not even scraped the tip of. We have a lot planned. And second, I think that a lot of people who use other sites, especially retail investors, will be, from my firsthand experience, are generally easy to switch over to a new platform, just because, especially with ours being cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have one more question on the retention rate. So 61%. Do you know why the other 39% did not return?
I think no, not really. I mean, no. Sorry.
So you did a great job. You did a great job walking us through the company so far and the idea. You also touched on the folks that you have on the team. What would be your largest gap in your skill set right now, and what are your plans to fill that gap?
I would say our largest gap in terms of our team is the size. So we plan to bring on more front-end developers and more people with industry experience in the finance world. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Outseek. Now I'd like to introduce AFIC, a team that is mapping academic knowledge for self-learners. Pitching today is Quinn Dye.
Hi, everyone. We're AFIC, which is short for, as far as I know, we map academic knowledge for self-learners. This is you. This is you on your first day of learning something new. You're excited, and you see a world of new knowledge unraveled in front of you. This is also you a week later. This is about the time where you start to ask questions like, what do I learn next? What are the best resources out there? Have I learned this before? I don't understand that part. Am I missing something? If you have to deal with such problems all by yourself, you are a self-learner, and your pain is shared globally. In fact, the online course dropout rate is as high as 95%, with lack of proper guidance listed as the top reason. According to our interview with self-learners, only 12% of them achieved their learning goal after a trial and error of 4 to 5 different courses. The problem with online courses is that they're made one for all, but self-learners need personalized guidance. And this can be achieved by a map that connects academic knowledge. Let me explain. So in our map here, each dot represents an academic concept, say gravity, and under each concept, we've aggregated online videos and articles explaining it. You can also view the prerequisites and advanced concepts of this concept. You build your learner profile by marking concepts as interested or mastered, and what you will learn next is completely based on your unique knowledge structure. It used to take a domain specialist years to manually map one subject. But with large language models, we're now able to shrink this process from several years to several days. And what does this mean? This means that the technology is finally ripe enough for us to actually build a global knowledge map that connects most of the academic subjects. The global e-learning market is estimated to be $315 billion, and our early evangelists are college students. We will approach this market through college social media, viral campaign, and campus ambassadors. We make money through a freemium model where users pay $10 per month to mark unlimited numbers of concepts and to view their learning stats. We silently launched our first demo last summer and ran third as product of the day on Product Hunt. We know this is going to be huge because with only one subject, we managed to attract 1,200 of monthly visitors, and our first demo did not have a sign-up entry, so more than 360 people joined our online community, and these all happened organically with zero marketing effort. We're now expanding our map to 10 subjects. This 5K award will help us to do this faster and launch our alpha next month. Our founding team has 3 lifelong learners who want a fake for themselves. We are researchers, engineers, and designers. We're a fake. Help us build the first ever global knowledge map for self-learners. Thank you.
Hey, great pitch. I really liked it. I had a question on the product. So can you help me understand? Are you offering a product that is competing with e-learning and MOOCs and online courses? Or are you one that's supporting it, let's say, reinforcing the learning?
Totally. That's a sharp question. And the beautiful answer is no, we are not competing them. We're collaborating with them. And there's a great opportunity lying in front of us because a lot of educational companies, they're searching for aggregators and a platform like us to collaborate with them so that we can bring us higher conversion rate. Basically, we're aggregating their content on our website that we're bringing them the end users, and we can also charge them conversion fees for that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Great. So building off of that, excellent pitch, by the way.
Thank you.
How much do do your competitors, or not your competitors, but the e-learning companies, how much do they pay you for your services?
So we are not to be honest, we are not exploring the to-be market yet because right now we are on the customer discovery stage. So we're talking to the end users like students and online learners. We've only seen interest from educational companies, especially actually from Velocity, who want to partner with us. But right now we really want to focus on customers. And our end customers are willing to pay around $200 per year for us, and we are charging about $120 for the annual fee.
Excellent. And what would be your target market, would you say? Who either locally or what groups do you want to start with first?
So actually, what we are looking for has a high overlap with MOOC takers. But also we figure those who realize that knowledge is actually a continuous map is those ones who are actually highly curious. And that's also what we are exploring right now, that we actually have something called nerd test to find who's nerd, who's the actually curious individuals in the population, who's our beachhead customers. And we actually are seeing great feedback from that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Quinn. That was awesome. Can you paint a picture for me of what the big vision of this company is? What do you hope it'll look like in 5?
Thank you for asking that. So we used to use the analogy of Google Map because think about human history when you don't have a map. What you do? You will actually go trial and error. When you don't have a map, you simply don't have a way to navigate yourself. But with a fake, it's like lost travelers finally get a Google Map. So the far picture is that everybody who has a need to self-learn actually will have a tool to guide themselves. That makes the private tutor and all the organizations that's mapping the things that's not personalized for you obsolete. That's what we aim to do. And also we aim to aggregate all the online courses so that you can learn in one place instead of going everywhere to learn, so that we are actually mapping the human knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Panspire, which offers contextualized writing prompts that enable authors to push through writer's block and complete drafts faster. Please welcome Roman Semin from Systems Design Engineering.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the warm welcome. And we are Panspire. We help fiction writers write their next bestseller. So I want us all to start with a little reflection. I want you to go back to the time when you had to write something long. It can either be an essay, thesis paper, or a fantasy story you were writing on a weekend. You likely got stuck at one point during the writing process, either because you didn't have the ideas to write next, or you didn't know how to articulate them properly. That is called writer's block, and we all have experienced it. Writer's block is actually a common problem. 8 out of 10 writers experience writer's block that lasts more than a few days. It creates a huge problem of wasted time, especially for the writers that have to produce large volumes. And the current solutions are limited. On one side, we're dealing with well-established and inefficient norms. On the other, the existing technology solutions geared towards copywriting, editing, and shorter pieces. So currently, we're focusing on professional fiction writers in North America. And once we establish ourselves well in that customer segment, the potential is in billions. Let's understand the writing process a little bit better. It consists of 5 distinct steps, and all writers go through them. Writer's block occurs during the first 2, and our solution helps with drafting. Introducing Panspire. Panspire is a writing tool that helps you, that gives you contextualized writing prompts and helps you get unstuck and gets your creativity going. Panspire seamlessly integrates into the writing process, and we built it as a browser and Microsoft Word extension. Panspire also leverages the power of OpenAI to capture the sentiment in the writing and give the relevant prompts that make the story flow. So we operate as a freemium business model with paid subscription, where paying customers can get more daily prompts and customizable feature options. Over the last 3 months, we have validated our problem space, we have built and launched our beta, and we have grown it to more than 60 unique users and 1 paying customer. We have collected multiple statements from writers like Mark, who are willing to pay for our product in the future. So over the next 3 months, we're going to focus on polishing our experience, making sure that the product is really good, and then going after the professional writers and getting them on board on the product. And this is here's where we need $5K to cover our API and marketing costs. So look, we might not have the biggest market or the biggest traction comparing to all of these amazing teams out here, but what we have is a plan, and we know exactly how we're going to use the money that you can give us to make the most impact on our business. We started this project because we all write either long or short fiction, and we experienced the problem ourselves. So all of us are in system design engineering, and we have what it takes to get the job done. We're Panspire, and let's get your creativity going. Thank you.
Excellent pitch. Thank you for that. That was definitely something that everybody can relate to. So what would be the customizable feature options that you mentioned?
So the customizable feature options would be potentially the wait time. For example, right now, the product functions, it gives you a prompt whenever you're stuck, and detection of being stuck counts as whenever you're sitting idle in front of your document, or you cannot progress in terms of the character limit. So customizable feature options would be something like configuring how long would you be able to, how long would you sit idle until you get a prompt, and have it more customizable.
Excellent. And you said that you were going to start with professional fiction writers.
Right.
So how do you plan to promote yourselves to those people or approach them in the first place?
Excellent question. So there are multiple ways how can we go about it. The primary way is the writing communities. There are a lot of small writing communities that we can tap into and that we can promote ourselves in. On the other side, a lot of it is still word of the mouth, is other writers telling other additional writers, and something going back to how we're going to use the money. When we go to the writing conferences, this is where we can make those personal connections with the writers that can later on amplify the message to other writers.
Excellent. Okay, great. And then the last question that I had was just you said that you wanted to kind of the next steps was to make sure it was really good before you start promoting too much. So what are the steps that are involved in that?
So we have launched our beta version, which is the primary purpose of that was to capture the sentiment in the market as well as like to catch any bugs in the existing process. So there are a lot of bugs and a lot of like user flow, I shall say, issues. For example, like onboarding. We definitely need a better onboarding for the people to understand how to use our product better. So those are the potential avenues that we need to fix and to work on.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a great pitch. I don't know if you saw, but Notion recently announced that they're going to be leveraging language models and introducing it to do exactly this within their ecosystem. How do you think about other, fiction writing tools and platforms doing the same thing, or blog writing platforms like Medium? How do you get ahead of all of that?
This is a great question, Neha. Thank you for that. So what distinguishes us from all of these softwares is that we are not the content generators. So what's the concept behind Notion AI and Jasper AI and all of the other tools is behind like we're gonna create like a huge blurb of text and you can rework it. After our conversations with the writers, they want to create authentic content and they don't want the machine doing work for them. So our tool, think about it as a writing assistant that kind of sparks your inspiration. This is where we like tapping into. Plus, us doing this work alongside the engineering capstone, we are doing a lot of research into psychology of how to prompt engineer so that we can potentially build a better product that actually leverages the psychology concepts to give you the inspiration that you need during the writing.
Thank you.
Good. This is the context here. Oh, yeah. And by the way, you can go to our website and subscribe for the alpha version. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Panspire. All right, Electric Boats has created Roomba for lakes that will clean up floating debris, saving municipalities money and keeping their residents happy. Founder Chanaka Ramdev is a post-degree undergraduate student in the Faculty of Environment, having already earned his bachelor's in management engineering. Please welcome Chanaka.
I love water. Ever since I was young, I have always loved water. So growing up, my favorite memory was going to the lake, playing in it, jumping in it, being in it. And back in the day, you could do that because lakes used to look like this. But let's be honest, lakes today don't look like this. This is what that same lake looks like today. It's dirty, it's disgusting, it's a dump. And animals have to live in that dump. Ducks have to live in that dump, swans have to live in that dump. So something has to be done about that dump. That's where we created an electric boat that can clean up all kinds of floating debris. Whether it's oil spills, fish kills, algae blooms, plastic waste, if it floats, you can clean it with our boats. And then we wanted to go a step further. So we take the waste, the organic part of it, mix it with used coffee grounds, and make fertilizers out of that. That way, we give second life to used coffee grounds and grow second life from used coffee grounds. There are over 1 million lakes in North America. 30% of them desperately need our solution. This is an awesome project that does cleanup of the oceans. We do the exact same thing, but for local lakes and rivers. We are very excited to announce that we have a pilot test going with City of Kitchener, where they are testing our boats in Victoria Park Lake, and they love it. But why? Because they get tons and tons of complaints. So they want to clean the lake, but they also want to deal with the PR issue associated with cleaning the lake. Currently, they have two options. They can send their employees in water, which puts the employees at risk and is obviously dangerous, or they can drain the lake, which last time costed them $12 million. With our boats, they can clean the lakes, the employees are safe, and it doesn't cost them $12 million. We are also very excited to announce that there are 15 more municipalities lined up for our tests. We got tons of press for our past projects. I have a background in engineering, and I'm doing my second degree in environment, mixing them to solve climate. We also have an awesome advisor who's sold already to 200 plus municipalities, and he's the one making introductions to further municipalities. So that's pretty much it. We make electric boats and regenerative fertilizers, electric boats, regenerative fertilizer, and the kid who wants to jump in lakes again. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a great story. So how much coverage do you get with one boat? How long would it take that one boat, for example, to clean up the Kitchener Lake you gave?
Yes. So we have put batteries that can operate for 4 hours, because the advice we got was they take lunch break, but the boat needs to work for 4 hours, so that like when it's break, that's the time where they change the batteries. So our aim is 4 hours and then 4 hours, and that's the boat. But we do it in a way where we add some extra stuff on the top so it can cover a lot of area. But like when we did these tests, we were able to clean the lake in 7-ish hours. So in one day, you can clean the lake.
And what is the value of that contract to you?
So right now, it was a pilot test, but what their plan is to buy the boats, because right now, as I was mentioning, they have to instead send their employees. And they would prefer not to do that because it's also a liability issue for them. So they'll just buy the boat. Their employees would be safely at the shore operating the boat.
I see. So you are basically a robotics
Boat
developer.
seller.
Boat seller.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, brilliant. What's your cost on that boat?
So we got this made for around $7,000, and we are planning to sell it for around $13,000. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey, great pitch.
Thank you.
So I had a question about how you said just right now that you're really like selling hardware to them. So how do you expect them to kind of continue coming back, right? If the municipality purchases, let's say, 10 of your boats, and they're going to use that until, how long do you think your boats are going to last?
So this is the first one we made. Our hope is it can last to about 3-ish years. And the advice we got from Velocity was if you can add more sensors on it, because right now it just is cleaning, but if you add sensors that can talk about water quality and stuff, then we can have a subscription model where they have access to all that previous data. But we don't have it in it right now. Right now it's just a cleaning boat. The next version of it is where we'll put all those sensors.
Okay, great. One more question. So you mentioned that the employees who would have been in water would be the ones operating it. So is there any education required for them to know how to operate the boat? How costly is that for you?
So we wanted to make it as simple as possible. So we use the exact remote control that toy boats use. It's a little bit more advanced, but the functionality is exactly the same. So if, like, when they were a kid, they had played with toy cars or whatever, then they'll be able to operate with it. And I can show you the remote after during intermission as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, and just like that, we're more than halfway done. So I'm going to take a couple minutes to tell you about what Velocity can do for you. If you've been inspired, oh, sorry, we're going to get the slides changed around. There we go. If you've been inspired by our teams today and want to build out your own idea, we have 3 new working spaces on campus to help you out. Explore your big ideas and solve big problems at the Problem Lab in MC 2037, where like-minded students connect and get inspired to make a positive impact in the world. This flexible workspace also plays host to several entrepreneurial activities throughout the term. Please find Ben Graham, who's standing over there at the plaid shirt, He's the manager of the Problem Lab, and if you want more information at the intermission, please talk to him. In Velocity Science, teams working on chemistry or biology-based businesses can apply to have dedicated lab space in ESC 319. We can help you validate the opportunities envisioned by your technology from both a technical and a business perspective. Please find Karen Laver, who's over there standing next to Ben. She is the lab technician for Velocity, and she can give you more information on that space. Finally, Velocity Digital is a place to build software, electronic, and medical technologies enabled with 5G. Velocity Digital is located in South Campus Hall. Please find Tamer Shaheen, who's also standing over there in the blue shirt. He's Velocity Digital's senior manager, and he can give you more information. If you don't know where to go, if all that sounds great, but you're not sure where to go and you just are generally interested in Velocity, please find any one of our members. We're all wearing the black t-shirts, Velocity t-shirts for more information, and you can join any of our spaces. To all the professors and graduate students that are in the audience, BDC, the Business Development Bank of Canada, Velocity, and WATCO, the Waterloo Commercialization Office, are hosting a micro-symposium on what it takes to effectively commercialize your graduate research. This is an opportunity to connect with BDC partners, learn the best practices to spin out your research into a company, and gain insights into funding and commercialization resources available to you at UW. This event is taking place on Friday, December 2nd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in IQC 0101. Lunch will be included. Registration closes on Friday, November 25th. That is 2 days away, so please act quickly if you wish to secure a spot. And finally, we are looking to add volunteers to our Winter 2023 Velocity Campus Ambassador team. The Velocity Campus Ambassador program was created to engage, support, and connect students with entrepreneurship experiences that help foster ambitious ideas. Many of our ambassadors are here today. Could I get you to put up your hands? Most of them are gathered over here. So if you're interested in representing Velocity on campus through promotion, event support, and community building, please find Tina Wilton, who's right over here, for more information and apply on our website. Applications are due on December 10th. All right, it is now time for the intermission. Please feel free to grab more food and use the restrooms. Please come back in 10 minutes and we'll resume our pitches with the last three teams. Hello, everyone. We are going to be getting started in about 2 minutes, so if you can make your way back to your seats, that would be great. Welcome back. We will kick off our final trio of pitches with TrainPro. TrainPro provides gym goers with real-time guidance on technique, exercise routine, and optimal muscle loading with smart wearable clothing. Please welcome Anna Liebenberg from Mechanical Engineering.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Anna, and this is TrainPro. We're helping people get stronger, harder, better, faster by creating wearable technology that tracks users' technique. 3 years ago, I decided to go to the gym to get stronger. However, I struggled to learn the correct form, to know how hard to push myself, and I suffered from reoccurring injuries. This is because I didn't have access to affordable and reliable feedback on my technique. This is a huge problem for regular gym goers. In fact, 90% of them are concerned with their form, and the overexertion injuries account for combined annual cost of $53 billion. Personal training is one solution to this problem, but despite generating $12.4 billion in revenue, 60% of people actually discontinue. The fact is, the current solutions for monitoring your technique aren't great. Personal trainers are the only ones providing feedback on form, and they cost between $60 to $150 per hour. This is why many people resort to self-supervised assessment techniques or using workout apps. However, these are very time-consuming and nowhere near as accurate. This is why we created TrainPro. We give users real-time feedback on their form through wearable clothing and an app. Our clothing provides full body motion analysis through a multi-point system, and we give users verbal cues through their headphones during an exercise, such as maintain a neutral spine throughout the squat. Users will also see visual feedback on their phone screens and be able to track their progress over time. We'll be marketing directly to consumers, charging them a one-time hardware cost of $100 for both pieces of clothing and a monthly membership of $20. This is 28 times cheaper than personal training when compared yearly. We will start by targeting the 60% of people whose needs are not met by personal training. This accounts for a $1.4 billion one-time revenue opportunity plus $250 million per month. Once we've captured this personal training market, we plan to expand to all regular gym goers, which accounts for $3.68 billion revenue per month. Since starting our company, we've completed over 60 customer interviews with more ongoing. We've made partnerships with virtual trainers for the data collection side of our MVP, and have had over 30 people sign up for our pilot project, launching with the UW Strength Club. We've completed the hardware design for our prototype and have made progress towards the development of our algorithms. We plan on completing our algorithms in December 2022, and we're asking for $5,000 to go towards finishing our MVP in January and launching our pilot project in February. Our team is very passionate about fitness, and we have a combined 10 years experience with strength training. We've also got extensive experience driving product design and validation through 7 different startups. Together, we can bring full body motion analysis to the everyday user, helping them avoid injury and reach their goals faster. Thank you.
Hey, great pitch.
Thank you.
So I had a question on the clothing that you're providing, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, you have a lot of individuals out there, different body sizes, and I think the ones who are going to, you know, maybe want to use your product are beginners who, you know, let's say are not,
Yeah.
you know, might have different types of body sizes. So how do you intend on creating a product that's, let's say, personalized, but also one that you can scale? And up?
Yeah, so we plan on selling the clothing with the sensors embedded in it, so you won't see the sensors, and it will be like regular gym clothing, so it will come in all different sizes.
Okay. And one more question. So I think a lot of times with beginners, they might go with a friend, right? You might have a
Yeah.
gym bro.
Mhm.
And so I was wondering, like, how do you, you know, intend on, let's say, competing with that, which would be basically no cost in terms of, you know, the things that you're offering?
Yeah, so a lot of people go with friends, especially to get feedback on their form. However, it's not as accurate, and a lot of times there's people will have different things to say about what the correct form is, when really if you use biomechanics, you can actually define an optimal form for each exercise. So we'll be providing them with the most accurate feedback on their form, and we're providing it at a much lower cost than personal trainers.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent pitch. Very interesting. So how do you know how much people are going to pay for it? Is that something that you included in those interviews that you were doing?
Yeah, so we did ask people like how much they're currently paying for personal trainers if they're going, and how much they would be willing to pay. A lot of people who are dedicated to going to the gym and are looking for personal trainers but can't afford it, they are willing to spend money on it, just not as much as personal trainers are. And yeah.
Excellent. And how is this clothing connected to the phone app and the headphones? Like, is that all
Yeah,
Bluetooth?
so it's all Bluetooth. We're gonna have a core which will communicate by Bluetooth with your phone and your headphones.
And that kind of core is included in the, like, would that be
Yeah,
kind of a bulky part of the clothing?
Ideally, it won't be bulky. We're still developing that, but we need to have a core so that the battery and microcontroller are removable for washing the clothing. Yeah.
Okay, that's excellent. And just a little bit more time. So it's removable for washing, and how often do you have to change the batteries, or how big are the batteries?
So we're planning on having the battery last between 18 and 16 hours of while it's in use.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. I have 20 seconds, now 14. What's your vision? Are you going to become a clothing company, like a Lululemon for wearable clothing?
Yeah, our vision would be that our clothing is as nice looking as Lululemon or Gymshark, the popular gym brands. Ideally, down the line, we really see ourselves as an exit plan, either being acquired by a well-known clothing company or Apple or Fitbit.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much, TrainPro. Relay MD is an online platform that lets family doctors find information on medical specialists and manage outbound referrals more efficiently. Pitching on behalf of Relay MD is Devani Patel from Software Engineering.
Hey everyone, my name is Devani and we are Relay MD. Our mission is to improve the medical referral process. Now some of you might be wondering, what is a medical referral? Well, let's say you go to your family doctor as a patient and have a complex medical condition. Your family doctor may choose to send you to a specialist to discuss advanced treatment options, such as a cardiologist, general surgeon, etc. So this act of transferring patient care from a family doctor to a specialist is a referral. Now, in order to make an efficient referral, your family doctor needs to know quite a few things. They need to know who are the specialists in the area, what procedures those specialists do, and a rough understanding of their wait times. Are they booking 2 weeks out or 8 months out? And finally, after the referral is sent, the the family doctor and the staff needs to keep a tab on what's going on so that they can keep you, the patient, in the loop. Now, unfortunately, none of this information is kept tracked at a system level. Currently, it's kept tracked either mentally by the family doctor and the staff or manually. And this process is quite inefficient and leads to many issues. Sending a referral to a specialist who has moved offices, no longer does a certain procedure, or has a long wait time leads to unnecessary delays in patient care, poor health outcomes, and a lot of extra administrative burden. So conceptually, that's a problem. When you look at the numbers, it's quite an expensive problem. Across North America, we spend about $3 billion on just admin fees managing these referrals. And that doesn't include indirect costs like wasted physician time and patient complications from long wait times. So our solution to this problem is to create a connected referral platform, somewhere where the family doctor, the specialist, and the patient can all keep a tab on an outgoing referral, and where all that system-level information is completely transparent. Besides manual tracking, the only alternative that the Ontario government is funding is a platform that has little traction by doctors and has been around for several years because of the lack of system-level information. On the team, we have Dr. Ali Kumar, who's a family doctor with experience in a wide variety of settings, and myself, a software engineering student with experience building in the health tech space. So to execute on the larger vision, we launched an MVP earlier this year. It's an online directory that family doctors can use to pick the right specialist for their patient. Since our launch, we've expanded to 70 cities across Ontario and have more than 7,000 searches done on the platform. Currently, we have 62 doctors and clinics paying for it through a monthly subscription model, up from 40 when we pitched at semis, and are projected to reach 200 by early next year. Our users love us, and we've already had a positive impact on patient wait times. We've also started seeing organic growth through word of mouth. For our go-to-market strategy, our initial focus has been on individual providers and expanding to cover groups. We also have deals in the pipeline with virtual care practices. The next step of our strategy is to target larger enterprise clinics, hospitals, EMR companies, and ultimately specialists and patients. The Velocity 5K will go a long way in helping us get to stage 3 of our go-to-market. So that's us, Relay MD. Thank you.
Excellent, definitely a much needed solution. So one of my questions is, I've done a little bit of research into these kind of antiquated systems, and how do you plan to convert doctors who are using fax right now to using your system?
Right. So currently, right now, it's just a directory that people use on the website. And so the way we convert people from using fax is that like for the ones that still want to use fax, our system would automatically generate the fax and send it to them. The extra benefit they get if they don't use the fax is that tracking. And so we would still support people who want to still use fax.
Excellent. And you mentioned that, oh, sorry, I think I jumped in. Oh, no, I'm right. So you mentioned that you also wanted to connect with hospitals.
Yeah.
How do you plan to start those conversations?
Yeah, for sure. So we've already started talking with a Velocity Health coach who's worked with hospitals before, and my family doctor, he has other colleagues that work in hospitals, and so we're going to work through like the user route in the hospital to get to the executives who make those decisions.
Excellent. I think that those are all my questions.
Awesome. So can you explain the product to me in a bit more detail? So you mentioned that there's this, the feedback loop isn't closed when you make a referral. The original doctor doesn't get that data back. How are you solving for that?
Yeah, so the current MVP is just a directory, so you can't send a referral through there. But once we have the full platform, the way we'd solve is once the referral is sent through our platform, we would then follow up automatically through our scripts that check, okay, if they haven't replied in 2 weeks, then auto re-ask them, hey, have you got this referral? Or like, has the patient been seen? And so like, we'll be closing the loop for the family doctor instead of like them playing phone tag with the specialty clinics.
Got it. Are you hoping and trying to capture data from the specialist to then feed back to the primary physician?
Exactly, yeah. So we capture data, and even like the wait times, then that's how we know the wait times passively, based on like the patient's appointment. So yeah, like all that data would get passed back to the family doctor.
Okay. And then last question, you mentioned the physicians themselves are paying right now.
Yeah.
What budget is that coming out of, and what's incentivizing them to want to pay for this?
Yeah, so like the biggest problem they face is like, how do you pick a specialist, right? And so usually it's like the people you know. But the thing is like, because you send on average 15 to 25 referrals a week, for a lot of them, you don't know where to send it to. For example, if a patient wants to see like a female OB-GYN that speaks Hindi, well, that's not your network. And so like, this comes out of their, like, so if it's a small practice, like 1 to 2 doctors in one clinic, they pay using their personal credit card or debit card. We also have a group customers, so like 20 docs in one clinic. And it's like that whole clinic's budget, so like the manager there pays for everybody.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't really have a question. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our final team today is Landscape Direct. They are a fully online garden center that connects their customers directly to top Canadian growers, enabling anyone to access some of the best nursery products from the comfort of their own home. Here to pitch for Landscape Direct is Blake Patterson, who studies accounting and financial management.
Thank you, John. Hello, everyone. We're Landscape Direct, and we're bringing plants to the world of online shopping. It's safe to assume that most of you sitting here today have placed an online order. You can buy anything online these days. But you know one thing you really can't? That's plants. If we look at the nursery industry right now, only about 1/3 of their products are readily available online, leaving about 2/3 of the market available for outdoor plants. And this is the opportunity that Landscape Direct is looking at. We're also looking at the current reliance on subpar in-store shopping experiences for consumer and the bulky and perishable nature of plants, which poses a challenge to deliver directly to the end consumer. The first part of our solution is launch of our web store, where we're bringing outdoor plants to the world of online shopping and improving on in-store shopping experiences. We, through customer discovery, set 4 pillars to a successful user experience: convenience, selection, quality, and product information. We currently have over 300 varieties of plants on our web store, with industry-leading shipping times at 2 to 6 business days. This season alone, we saw an 80% increase in our year-over-year conversion rates when we offered more products on our website and revamped our product pages. Since the launch of our website in 2020, we've had 1,600 online orders and delivered over 20,000 plants to customers in every province across Canada. This season alone, we did $460,000 in online sales, marking a 145% annual growth rate. We estimate that the market for online sales in North America to be valued at $5 billion, and the testing ground for our model is here in Canada, where we estimate online sales to be valued at $300 million. We're positioning ourselves in the market with a new and highly focused business model to operate on a national-wide scale, similar to big box stores, but offering that large selection and quality that you expect at your local garden centers. If you look at the Canadian market currently, there's only a dozen outdoor plants sold online, compared to hundreds sold in-store. The second part of our solution is what drives our competitive advantage, as we're solving industry-wide constraints that have stopped other business models from selling plants online. First, we're assembling a grower network that allows us to aggregate their inventory into a single platform, allowing consumers to shop directly from growers. We operate off a lean inventory management process with just-in-time inventory pickups that reduces the need for holding a large inventory and labor pool, reducing our overall operating costs. We developed custom-made packaging that allow plants to be shipped through the post anywhere in Canada, and we're developing the software to automate the inventory and order flow process. With 3 founders on our team, 2 of us, me and my brother, growing up in a family-run garden center, we have 10 years' experience of understanding the problems and constraints that the nursery industry currently faces. If we look at to where we're going to next, we currently have 3,000 square feet of greenhouse that we're fulfilling out of, and developed our first version of our software this season. We're planning on building another 7,500 square feet this fall, and the next version of our software is planned to be launched by next season, and that's where we plan to use any funding from this competition to enter. We're also planning on developing the mobile fulfillment center concept, which is a fundamental part to us entering the US market in the coming years. Thank you, everyone. That concludes my presentation.
Congrats on all of your success. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So who's your target customer? Are these people buying in bulk, or is this like the individual homeowner?
Yeah, so currently we started in the B2C market. We're targeting homeowners, typically someone that values the convenience aspect of shopping online. We see this evolving into more of a B2B solution down the line, targeting some of the big marketplaces such as Home Depot, Canadian Tire, because we're solving the problems of how to really sell plants online, and so we see the big market for us pursuing them in the future.
Do you see yourself as being a retailer or simply the marketplace?
There's value in us doing both. We're exploring both options currently because obviously it's hard to grow a brand, right? Like to get to a scalable size brand, that takes a big marketing effort. And we see that in the immediate future, approaching Home Depot with our current solutions is the closest way to generating revenue.
How would you solve for the localized nature of this if you went marketplace?
So The concept of us being able to ship through the post is their big factor of us. So as I mentioned, we've shipped to every province across Canada so far. So that's how we're able to target most of Canada. This concept of mobile fulfillment centers is how we plan to ship rather cross-country into province. So we're trying to have fulfillment centers positioned at growers' locations and fulfill out of their yards.
Last question from me. What's your biggest challenge to scaling?
So capacity is the number one thing. We're talking about thousands of plants, 18-wheelers, loads, and that's kind of why we're working on developing our 7,500 square foot fulfillment center. We're taking a new look at how we're doing it. So developing the software and essentially a two-touch system of where we only have to touch a plant twice before it's going out the door, and using other things like you would see in an Amazon with conveyor belts to improve capacities and efficiencies.
What are the costs with maintaining these fulfillment centers, and also what are the costs with distributing your plants, let's say across Canada?
Okay, so to give a quick rundown on costs, so we run about a 60% gross margin currently, be it that we buy and resell. That's a big cost part of what we're doing. Marketing accounts for about 10% of what we're doing. If we look at the fulfillment side, it's honestly just a capital expenditure at the start of the day, so we can justify the volume that we could run out of our fulfillment centers. It's just going to come down to how long we can run those facilities.
And is there a cyclicality with your business? I mean, given that it's gardening, are you looking at low sales in seasons where maybe your product is not?
Are you asking if it's seasonal?
Yeah. Is it?
It's highly seasonal. We get about 60 to 70% of our sales in a 3-month period, and so that's why capacity is one of our biggest challenges, because it's very go, go, go for those 3 months of the year.
So are you using those fulfillments throughout the entire year? Then even when you're not really using them that much?
Generally, we see ourselves expanding into future product markets, be it online Christmas sales or indoor houseplants, but we're focusing on our niche of outdoor plants currently.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and just like that, that concludes our pitches. Now the judges will deliberate and choose 4 winners of $5,000, but you here in the audience can have your say on who takes home some of the prize money as well. Scan the QR code or on the screen, or go to slido.com and enter the numerical code to be taken to a poll and vote for your favorite team's pitch. The winner of the People's Choice will be announced at the end of the event and will take home $500. The QR code can also be found in the programs you received when you came in if you can't read the slide over here. I'll give you all a second. Did I see you all start doing it? All right. And now it is time for our fireside chat. We would like to welcome Ryan Marchuka to the stage. Ryan is a UWaterloo alum, graduating from the Nanotechnology Engineering program in 2016. Prior to becoming the co-founder and CEO of Haleon, Ryan worked on a variety of projects in the advanced materials industry, including the development of new biosensors for detecting annulates in blood and new manufacturing methods for quantum dots. Ryan was also the build team manager for the Waterloo rocketry team, where they built and launched the first liquid fuel rocket and engine at the Intercollegiate Rocket Engineering Competition. In his spare time, Ryan enjoys rock climbing and learning about quantum mechanics and astrophysics. He also hates dates, the fruit. So could we all welcome Ryan to the stage?
Should be.
All right. There we go. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
Good. It's gotten cold the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Is it how long has it been since you were last on campus?
I was actually here a couple weeks ago for some meetings. Actually, some of you might have, I don't know if you're here, but for the WIN events and the other things with the Nano program, I've come around a few times.
Okay, cool. So you're still connected in with the
Yep.
the community. That's great. That's great. So, well, thanks for joining us today. And I'm sure everyone here would love to hear about your journey. So you started, in nanotechnology engineering, and now you are the, founder of Halion and running your own company. So maybe you can fill us in how you went from A to B.
Yeah, so I started the company with a friend of mine who's also a nano grad. And the company sort of started from his fourth-year design project, so what you guys are probably going to end up doing in a few years. He developed a really interesting technology for new color-changing materials. We kind of together developed a vision for what that could be, but we didn't really know what else to do. So I actually ended up doing an e-co-op through the Conrad program here and worked with, Wayne Chang in the back there. And he was huge for just learning like what even is a business? Like how do you run it? How do you get off the ground? How do you talk to customers? All those basics and fundamentals. And from there, we also joined Velocity Science, which shout out to Velocity Science. I think it just started again recently, which gave us the opportunity to sort of develop the technology and start working on it. And from there, we basically were able to launch the company and continue. So it's kind of the beginnings.
Awesome. Yeah, that's terrific. And I'm not going to pass on an opportunity to promote Velocity Science. So we just reopened it this term. So we're back in ESC 319. But maybe you can talk about your experience a little bit there more deeply and what you gained from it, in case anyone in the audience is curious about that program.
For sure. So the Velocity Science program gave us access to lab space to work on things in our free time. That was really key. There's other programming as well around business and having mentors there to help you, which is also important. But really, what it allowed us to do was to go from, a concept stage of, hey, here's a technology and kind of an idea, and actually flesh that out and create prototypes and create something real that we could at least prove it would work before trying to commercialize it. And so that was really instrumental, is basically having the space to actually iterate on that, because I know, like, you can't set up a lab in your basement, right? Like, you need proper facilities and equipment, and even ordering chemicals, you need, a business location to do that and things like that. So those resources were key.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you very much. Now, I'm curious about the jump to entrepreneurship and starting your career there, because you could have done anything. And I don't know if you had intended to be an entrepreneur when you first started in engineering. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that switch in mindset, and when did you realize, okay, this is something I want to do, and I'm willing to take that risk and turn this into my full-time gig?
Yeah, it wasn't really something I thought about. Like, I never thought about starting a company going in engineering. I always imagined, you're going to go be part of an R&D department. Maybe you could grow and lead that division of a company, but I never thought about starting my own. And so really it just kind of happened more than anything. But we had a vision for what we wanted the future to be. I guess really briefly, what we're working on is developing these color-changing nanomaterials to turn every surface around you into a screen. Like, we see a future where all these windows and walls around us can come alive and customize to our needs in the moment, whether that's displaying information or just being able to change color or change pattern. And so we sort of had this future, or this vision for what the future could be, but then we decided, hey, like, we have a really interesting, unique technology here that can actually do it. Why wait around or give that to someone else? Why not just do it ourselves? And so from there, it was kind of just like engineering, problem solving, right? You figure out, okay, well, what do I have to do? I have to start a company. I have to build all that out, and sort of just learned it along the way.
Yeah. And so that technology just sounds incredible. So where are you at in terms of your technological development, and maybe you can tell us a little bit of, where did you come from Velocity Science days all the way to now, which has been a few years, I assume.
Yep.
And how has that product development come along? Because that sounds really fantastic. Just any glass window could turn into an interactive screen.
Yeah, it's been a long road, and there's still a lot to do. It's complicated, right? Originally you think, hey, if I build a cool technology, I can put it out there, it'll be great. But really, there's a lot that goes into not just your company and its manufacturing and development and whatnot, but also how does that then reach the market, especially for what we're doing. we're not looking to be like a vertically integrated company that just sells direct to consumers. We're building a component that gets implemented in other people's products. And so what that means is we're beholden somewhat to all of their processes, their commercialization paths, their supply chains, and you have to integrate within all of those in addition to building your own. And so it became a very complex problem. With Velocity Science, we were able to iterate on the technology a little bit, and we actually had a couple failures. Like we created a version that would never be manufacturable, so then we had to learn from, again, talking to industry, talking to mentors, what do you need to do to actually make this scalable? And then iterated a second time, that one didn't work for other performance reasons, and it was actually the third time we were able to develop or come up with the tech that actually landed and said, yeah, this is the one that has the potential to meet spec, be manufacturable, and do it, there's solid theory and whatnot behind it. So that whole iteration process we were able to do as part of Velocity Science. And with that, we now could go to customers and say, hey, here's what we can offer, sign up deals, start that integration process, and use that leverage to then raise money and start building the company. And so, Velocity gave us that free time to explore and come up with a good solution, and then before raising money and actually going out and growing it.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's got to be a lot of IP that you generated along the way, and a lot behind that. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how you think about IP and what's your strategy around the development of IP. I mean, is patent something that everybody here should be like looking to do right away, or is it something that you sort of work in as you go?
Yeah, patents are a complicated topic and a long topic, but something we spend a lot of time with. The answer is you ideally want a mix of trade secrets and patents, because patents become public. So whatever you put out there, everyone else can see, they can copy, and they're going to copy it if they can, if it's worth doing, because likely they're gonna have a lot more money than you. So you wanna keep some things trade secret in order to make sure that even if they were to copy it, they would still struggle and they still need your expertise or your know-how. Patents aren't right for everyone. I think a lot of, it really depends on the industry and the product. A lot of software does not probably need it. But when you're looking at materials and hardware, it does become more valuable. And so that question is very industry specific. It depends, you have to do an analysis and say, how easy is it for someone to buy my thing and then just replicate it? Because if it's really easy, it might not be worth it. But if it's hard, it really depends on the industry. So for us, we have filed a lot of patents because for our industry is very predatory. People will copy your IP and infringe it as much as they can. And so having that is really important for us. So far, we have about 8 patents pending. We've got a bunch more in the pipeline and going to develop more over time. So it really, I think, varies by company. But if you're looking at advanced materials, hardware, kind of that side of things, it is much more important than for others.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the insights. And I'm curious, how big is your team now? And how have you gone about team building, and what insights do you have about team building from maybe even an early stage? Because I know one of the big questions we get is, where can I find a co-founder? Who should I pick to be my co-founder? But even beyond the co-founding stage, how do you think about growing a team and what is involved in doing that effectively?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big topic. I can't say exactly how you find a co-founder. Like, we got lucky and a mutual friend of ours introduced us who thought we'd work well together, and that was clearly the case. So that just happened to work out for us. In terms of building a team, it's really, ultimately it's what does the business need and what's gonna drive the business forward, and building the team around that based on what, you do projections, you say, what's the next year gonna look like? What do we need for that? When do we need to hire for those positions? Our team's still pretty small. We're about 8 people full-time, but we're looking to triple that by the end of next year. So we're closing a new round of funding right now. We're going to use that to grow the team a lot. And the functions that you use really, again, depends on industry. So for us, the sales cycles that we're looking to, like we're selling into automotive, for example. So we're looking 3 to 5 year timelines for sales cycles. And so we're not necessarily worried right now about building out a huge sales team. What we're focused on is get the key parts of understanding their buying process and making sure that we hit all the key parts along the way to get the deal done. And so that involves things like a lot more engineering at this stage, proving out specs, doing manufacturing, doing reliability testing. And so building out a team that can support those functions is more useful right now than necessarily sales, because our salespeople could go out today and land some contracts, but we're not going to be able to deliver on them for months. So there's no point in that. Whereas if you're a high growth sales company, you know, maybe that's all you need is salespeople. The product's ready, it can be shipped instantly over the internet. Like, we just need to sell it. So that kind of varies by what you need in the moment, pretty much.
And well, congratulations on the raise. That's terrific news. Is there are there any details you can give us? Not numbers, but just how was the fundraising process for you, and how did that work out? Because I know a bunch of the teams in here are going to be looking to raise eventually. So how was that process for you, and what did you learn along the way?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a fun process. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. I think to land our lead investor took us like 135 investors we had to talk to. And so really important is building your network and getting access to networks of investors. That's key, because at the end of the day, to some degree, unless there's a major flaw in your business or you're doing something wrong, like, it is somewhat a stats game, and you just have to find the 1% out of the 1,000 that's going to believe in you. And if you have a 1% success rate, you need to meet 100 people to find the one, right? So to some degree, there's pushing through and doing that, but you can't access investors if you don't have a network. And so network is really key. That's where groups like Velocity come in with business networks, but also other founders. Other founders and other people around you are your best network, because the best intro you can get to an investor is through someone else they invested in. So even just making friends with each other, with other people in Velocity, other founders, that's honestly the best way to get connections, because those end up being your best intros later on. And so building community is really important for that, for sure. There's other things you can do to augment it. You can do accelerator programs. You can go to trade shows. You can go to networking events, like those kinds of things. But that's really key for the fundraising side, because you need intros to people. You can't just reach out to them cold.
Okay. I got one last question, then we can open it to the audience for their questions.
Sure.
You mentioned, you mentioned that you an accelerator. I don't know if you mentioned an accelerator directly, but you definitely received support from external bodies. I'm wondering, how was that experience in going out to Techstars, I believe?
Yeah.
How was that, and how was that experience, and what did you learn from it, good and bad? How was it for you?
Yeah, so we ended up doing the accelerator Techstars. We did one based out of New York City. This was a few years ago. They've since exploded, and there's more than 60 versions of them around the world. There's different ones out there, Y Combinator and Techstars kind of being the top two, with some other ones like Hacks and IndieBio that are more focused on specific verticals. Honestly, for us, it was incredible, and the only reason we are where we are, because that instantly gave us access to a network of 3,000 plus people, all who are vetted, all who have some degree of experience with startups and things. And so being able to just tap that network again for investor intros, for hires, for advice. I mean, our managing director at the time is still, he invested in us, but he's also still on call. Whenever I want to reach him, I can send him a message, and he helps me with intros, with advice. Like you said, HR problems, I can just give him a quick message, and the next day he'll send me here's what I think about XYZ. And so having access to those kinds of mentors and people that have been a few steps ahead of you and can then say, here's what I experienced, here's how I handled it, whatever, is super invaluable. And I think that's the best part. But with all accelerators, it's what you put in is what you get out, right? If you don't do anything, you don't engage with anyone else, you're not going to get that value. You really, again, have to work to build those relationships, to meet people, to just put yourself out there at some of the events that they hold, whatever those look like, and again, build that network and find who has the most value to work with.
That's great. Thank you. Are there any audience questions? If you put up your hand, we can run a microphone over to you. Over here. Oh, one sec. We'll get you a microphone. Yeah.
But sure. Thank you for the talk. What do you think has been the biggest challenge for you in the last 4 months?
The biggest challenge in the last 4 months? I mean, two things would be fundraising. We just closed our lead probably about 4 months ago, so just going through that process and getting them on board was the most challenging. And then lately we've been working on finding a space to move to, basically, getting our own building, and that's been a different challenge. But is there anything specific about those you want to learn more about? Or?
I was just curious, the company in your stage currently, what are they kind of struggling with? Because obviously at one point the hiring stage kind of comes in, right?
Yep.
That becomes the priority number one, then the raising becomes the priority number two. I was just curious about that. So
Yeah, so for us, it was just closing this round of funding has kind of been my key focus, while the team kind of does the R&D on their own, kind of on the side, on the back. Well, I'm not focused, like I don't work on that. I do the business, I'm CEO. So mostly closing that round, and now that we have capital to work with, now we grow, right? So the next challenge is gonna be hiring, like you said. We need to get we have to at least double the team size in the next like 4 months, which is a lot of interviewing and doing all of that.
Maybe to add on to that, what has been the biggest challenge for you throughout the lifetime of Haleon?
Throughout the lifetime, there's been, I guess, a number of things, but ultimately, like selling the product, you know, like for us, again, we're talking these long 3-4 year time cycles. You have to understand when is the right time to engage with people, what do you need to say to people to get their buy-in early. A lot of these companies, you know, they look at a small startup and they say, hey, why are we gonna sign an agreement with you? Like, you don't have any track record, you don't have any background, like, why would we do this? And so being able to, whether that's customers or even investors, right, it's the same problem. And so being able to have the data points to do the R&D, to hit the key milestones, to know what those are and know what they wanna see, and then build business traction around that. You know, that's a lot of talking to customers, understanding their buying cycles, meeting all the different parts of the process. Like for us, when you talk to an automotive company, there's business units that have to get buy-in from, but then there's also R&D teams, there's validation teams, there's supply teams, there's finance teams, and understanding who all those people are, coordinating all of them. Again, I'm an engineer. I've never done business. I don't know these things, so figuring all that out has been tough.
Yeah, that's given me a flashback to my time as well, in terms of you're always trying to sell the company to everybody. You have to sell it to the suppliers who you want them to, you know, treat you like a real customer when they got much, you know, 10 times bigger customers out there. You're trying to do it with people you're trying to join up who, you know, have the expertise you need, but you might not be able to pay enough. You know, you're always trying to tell them the story and be like, hey, stick with us now, and you know, and we'll deliver on the back end. Like, just, you know, give us a chance and we'll go through. And I think that's always a big thing, back to pitching and
yeah,
everything
for
you
sure.
do.
Well, and the story evolves over time, right? You're gonna realize some of the things you're doing are wrong. You have to approach something differently, whatever. Now you have to be able to retell that whole story with the new thing attached to all those same people.
Yeah, absolutely. Other questions? Yep.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the insights. I just wanted to dig a bit more into the piece of your background. You're obviously very technical, but as the CEO, a lot of the work you do right now is the business side of things. What was that transition like? And do you ever feel like there is some kind of like contention that you want to do more like technical things, but you obviously don't have the capacity to?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it was difficult per se, like, because a lot of it is kind of common sense logic. Like, you can work through it, you can find mentors. But there's a lot to learn very quickly, right? So doing a startup is like the highest density learning I think you can do in terms of stuff you have to learn over time. When we started the company, my co-founder and I decided to split it, where I would be CEO and he would be CTO, mainly because we knew right away, A, he had way better technical mind than I do, and B, I was way better at talking to people than he is. And so it was pretty obvious to kind of split it that way for us. I do have to restrain myself from trying to get too deep into the tech because I'm not there all the time. I love it, I'm super excited by it, I'm interested in it, but you know, at R&D meetings, for example, I have to be careful not to jump in with a million questions that they've already talked about, already solved. Like, it's just wasting everyone's time by me asking that. I really want to know, but you know, it's not a good use of time for me to ask those kinds of questions, and so there's a little bit of contention in that sense, but you know, just like any engineers like to solve problems, right? So just like anything else, all the business stuff are just more problems to solve. You just have different tools and different things you have to learn to solve them, and you got to learn it on the fly. Or again, I'm going to emphasize this a lot. Mentors are like the best thing to do for that. Find people who have already done these things, who know how to do them, and have them tell you what to do or teach you what to do, right? For example, I have a really weird situation going on right now with two businesses that really want to work with us, and they're like multi-billion-dollar companies that both want to sign different types of agreements, but they also compete with each other. And so like, it's a good problem to have, but it's also like, you know, who do I go with? How do I make that decision? Because this is going to impact the company long-term in a very big way. And so the question is, like, you know, having people that I can ask to walk through to say, hey, here's the understanding of these companies, here's what they're offering, here's what I'm hearing from other people who's worked with them, you know, being able to have that outside viewpoint to say, hey, here's how you should probably weigh these two things is really important, because there's stuff there that I didn't even think about. And they're like, oh yeah, this one could just chop you off in the future if they weren't interested, whereas this one might not, and things like that. So mentorship and leveraging, again, kind of going back to the network, the people is really important.
Other questions?
So far you mentioned about that you are from technical side to switch to business side, but I want to ask, what if your role switch? Let's say you are a business guy, what would you do from the start? Like, what's the difference for you if you are a business guy to approach to a tech company? Thank you.
I mean, I don't. It really that question really depends on industry, I would say, because it really depends on what you're selling and what you're trying to do. Like, are you, for example, if you're trying to sell insurance, right, and there's maybe a technical augment to it, then in theory you can go out and sell it and just find someone to help you build the tech, and that's fine. If you're doing what we're doing, like I would say in our industry and in many others like it, you require, I'm obviously extremely biased, but you would require, I think, a technical CEO in order to do well. And I think you can look at examples in industry, like if you look at the semiconductor industry and look at Intel and AMD and the big chip manufacturers, when it's under a technical CEO, it's a totally different company than when it's under a purely business financial one. And I think there's different benefits and drawbacks of that. And so it really depends on the industry. Like if you want to build, if your whole company is predicated on sort of the core technology and the IP and what's around it, I think you need the technical CEO who understands, who can understand specifications and the importance of what's actually possible, what's not, because you're going to be meeting customers and talking to their R&D teams, and they're going to be asking you on the fly, hey, can you do this in the future? What if we did this? What if we changed that? How does that affect the specs? And you need to be able to answer all those questions. You could learn that if you're really passionate about that field, and then you just learn it and do it, and that's fine. But otherwise, there's not really a specific answer, I'd say.
Hi, I was gonna ask, how do you deal with the long process of getting in touch with decision makers at B2Bs or other businesses?
Yeah, it's actually probably easier than you might think. Part of it a lot of what we do actually comes inbound, which is kind of nice, through different websites we're on, and also just the fact that what we're doing is really unique. But a lot of big companies have business units, or often they'll have things like innovation teams, where their whole goal is just to find new, interesting technologies. They could be scouting companies, they can be whatever. And reaching out to them through LinkedIn, through email potentially, or through intros you have, and get directly connected to those kind of business arms, they'll be able, you can pitch them on sort of why the product is valuable. And if it's interesting, then they will introduce you to the right engineering teams and things. And so you can look up decision makers. Like typically you want someone higher up, like a VP of business development or something like that at a big company, because they can actually make a decision, whereas like an associate or something like that isn't going to be able to push anything through. And it's honestly not as hard as you probably think if you just reach out to some of them. And if you have something interesting, obviously.
So you've grown your team to 8 people, and you're continuing to scale it with the funding that you've raised, so congratulations. I was wondering, from the inception of Haleon to now, what learnings have contributed to you to be an effective leader for your team?
I mean, there's been a lot of things. Honestly, reading books is also great. Like that's kind of like mentorship in a book, right? Like read them, listen to other people who have lectures and things. Those can always be great ways to get more, to augment your understanding or ideas. But mostly, like for people, it hasn't been too difficult. Like we've kind of understood how we like to manage people. Hiring co-ops was really helpful for us for the first 2 or 3 years. We just hired a bunch of co-ops, and then you're doing interview processes every 4 months, right? You're doing, or 8 or whatever. You're doing a lot of interviews, you're doing a lot of feedback sessions with people, and then you kind of figure out what is your management style. How do you want to be managing people? What do you look for? And then building up a hiring process around that and a support structure around that, right? And that all depends on what are your values. Like it's all very dependent on the person. For us, we like a very transparent, open culture where people give feedback directly, and so we implemented that in how we do it. Like every few months, we sit down with our employees and we say, here's how we think you rank on all of these categories that we care about. Like, here's how we feel like you're doing. So that you're not left wondering, hey, does my boss, like, do they like what I'm doing? Do they not like what I'm doing? Like, where are we here? We just put that out on paper and we say, hey, here's what we think right now. And like, you know, we can disagree or agree and move forward, but like, things like that you can build into it. And most of it we just kind of created ourselves from stuff we'd seen in the past, whether it was companies that we worked with or, you know, like the co-op program, you have to do those evaluations halfway through and at the end of the term, stuff like that. We just kind of fit in, and then on top of that, you know, reading books to learn what are the best practices for hiring or some new ideas around that.
I think we have time for one more question.
Hi, I want to ask back around the time that you were in Velocity Science. And so at what point in working in Velocity Science did you decide that you wanted to continue this venture post-graduation as opposed to working with a company and working on your venture alongside?
I mean, for us, we had seen enough traction at the time that we were interested in continuing. Like we had seen that it was doing well. We had some customer traction. We had some money we were able to get through grants and things like that. And so all of that gave us conviction. And then the question is, well, if you work for a company on the side, there's other issues you have to consider, things like IP assignments and agreements and what can you work on the side, but also, you know, we'd only be giving half our time or less, right, to trying this out. And we thought there was something here. So for us, it was just like, let's just try it, right? Worst case, it fails, and we just move on and get the job then. Like, the jobs are going to be around, right? The big company jobs, like, they're not going anywhere. So, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of opportunity to chase it full-time, and so we just kind of went all in.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, being a student is a great time to take a risk because the fall is not very far. For most of you, you don't have dependents at home. You don't have, a lot of you don't have really massive bills to pay. So being able to use the resources that are available to you, that are free here to try out your ideas, and knowing that even if you fail, you know, there's still that job you can get at the end when you graduate. So now is a great time to do this. A lot of students ask me if they should start their idea before or after they graduate. And I'll always say the best time is now. Best time is to get started while you're still in school, because you have all this extra time. Okay, one final question for you. What one piece of advice can you give to everyone here today who are thinking about starting a venture?
I think just following up on that last comment, like, don't be afraid of failure is really the short version, right? Like, if that does happen, like, reframe what you consider success or failure to some degree. Like, if your company doesn't end up doing well, that's a success because you learned that it doesn't do well for whatever reason you learned. But also, like, that's still padding your resume, right? Like, that looks like an amazing project that you worked on, a cool idea, it shows initiative, like, all these things. I'd way rather hire someone with that on their resume than, like, I worked on this weird, like, I didn't do anything for my summer, right? So just thinking about that, you know, putting your name out there, going in front of customers, you know, maybe you look stupid, who cares? Like, nobody cares. They only care about results and how well things happen, right? They don't care, no one's gonna remember any of that. And so I think just do what you can. Like, obviously, not everyone's in the same position. Some people are more privileged than others. You can be in different financial positions. Like, there are things where you maybe shouldn't take risk, but also don't be afraid of failure. I think the other thing, this is a personal philosophy, but I think learning and, like, education is kind of a compound effect over time, because when you learn things, they start to add to other things, and that really builds. And so doing the highest density learning you can early is really key. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do a startup. You don't even have to run a startup. You could join one, right? There's nothing wrong with being the first 5 employees, learning it that way, doing it that way. But think about that, right? Long term, the most value add you're going to get is by doing the most learning you can early. And so whatever that means to you, I think is important.
And I think that's a great point to leave on. So thank you very much, Ryan, for joining us today. And we'll keep an eye out for you in the future with the race. Yeah. Okay. All right. Before we get to the finalists or the winner's announcement, we have a big surprise for you. President Vivek Goel has been kind enough to join us today and share with us his vision for entrepreneurship at the university. And if there's time, we would love to get you to help present the awards. So come on up.
Thanks, John. And it was great to listen to the last few pitches as well as to just listen to Ryan's story. And it's really inspiring to hear the journey that he's been on. And I look forward to seeing many of you in similar roles in the next few years. And really want to pick on the last point as well. Like, whatever experience you get doing these types of activities is going to be valuable. And success is not just getting to that billion-dollar company. Getting the experiences, taking them out into the world, and whatever you do, whether it's in the private sector, going out and working in public policy or in social services, we all need in those types of places this kind of entrepreneurial mindset, this commitment to solving problems, and I think that's what we do really well at Waterloo. And it takes courage to take the kind of risks that we just heard from Ryan. And that is a very important value for us here at the University of Waterloo. We've already heard about the really rich ecosystem that has developed here at the University of Waterloo. And it is something that has been driven by the community. It's been a bottom-up. Velocity started as a floor in residence. And it's really grown to what it is because of that passion that all of the participants in Velocity have brought to it. And now we're very fortunate that we have individuals like Ryan and so many other people that have had their experiences at the University of Waterloo that are giving back and helping us take things to the next level. And certainly, you asked me what my vision is. My vision is that we don't need to hear about people like Ryan having to go to New York and Techstars to get that experience. We're going to have the people from New York and San Diego and Boston coming here to Waterloo because this is the place where everything will be happening. And I think if we think about the last 65 years, because that's how old the University of Waterloo is, and to think that we're gotten to this place already, it's not unreasonable to think that in the next 25 or 30 years, we can get to that place. And just to quote a few stats, I'm sure you're familiar with much of this, but in the PitchBook rankings, the most recent edition just came out, we're the #1 university in Canada for new founders and top 25 in the world. Communitech recently published a list of the fastest growing Canadian tech companies and those with the greatest potential to get to $1 billion or more of revenue by 2030, not $1 billion valuation, which is what we define as a unicorn, but $1 billion a year of revenue. And 8 of the 50 companies were founded by Waterloo alumni, so 16%. And 18 of those 50 had connections to Waterloo. So just think about that, like how much we are contributing to the opportunities in Canada and what those opportunities are for you. So I just want to close by congratulating everyone that's taken part and has made the pitches. I know we're going to announce winners, but everyone is a winner. Just getting to this stage and making those presentations, answering the questions from the judges. I saw those at the end there. That is an amazing thing to do. And keep on pitching those ideas. Again, as we heard from Ryan, it doesn't stop with one. You got to keep at it over and over again. And so we look forward to seeing all of you again. So I'll pass it back to John and we'll make the presentations.
If you want to just stand over there, that's good. Okay, it is time. So we are going to announce the 4 winners. We'll do it one at a time. I won't ask for a drum roll or anything, but the first winner of the Velocity 5K for fall 2022 is Landscape Direct. And we'll just ask you to stay on stage. Yeah, just come over here. This might get a little crowded. All right, the next winner of, whoa. Everyone okay? Yep, you're okay. Okay. The next winner of the Velocity 5K is Relay MD. The third winner of the Velocity 5K is a fake. And the final winner of the Velocity 5K for fall 2022 is Train Pro. All right, and we do have one more, which is the People's Choice Award. The People's Choice Award today goes to Skipwash. And I think we're going to get one big picture. Okay, for one more picture with the whole group. Okay. All right, you guys okay? You're not falling off? All right. Yeah. All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the winners. Congratulations. Thank you, President Goel, for your kind words and your inspiring words. That was fantastic. Okay, as just to echo what the president said, this is just the beginning. So for all the teams that pitched today, all the teams that entered the competition this year, this is just the beginning. This is just a start. Please come back again. Please keep working, and we'll definitely see some success in the future. So just to wrap it all up, I would like to thank the judges. I'm sure it was a difficult decision, and we really appreciate your insights today. Thank you to Ryan Marchuka for his sharing his story for us today. I would like to thank the campus ambassadors and the Velocity staff for setting up and running this event, and most especially Emily Martin for all the long hours you put into orchestrating this whole event. And then finally, I would like to thank you, the audience, both here and at home, for joining us today. We love the enthusiasm, support, and we are looking forward to seeing you back again in March of 2023. Everyone, please have a fantastic afternoon.